What's going on, everybody? Probably know by the title of this video what this is, but if you don't know somehow, this is an Elder Scrolls 6 wishlist video. Little backstory, I actually first played Skyrim around the age of 12, and it actually became one of my favorite RPGs. On top of that, it was actually one of my first M-rated video games, and it was packaged alongside the 360 that I got. Little confession, I never actually played the older Elder Scrolls games due to, well, me having a preference for games with better visuals, and, well, Skyrim was the game that had the most recently updated visuals, and so I loved that game. I also played a little bit of Fallout New Vegas, and also some Fallout 4, a lot of Fallout 4, but it always made me yearn to come back to Skyrim, and so I basically got every edition of Skyrim. But that's enough of that, let's get straight to it with list item number 1. The combat. So the combat's always been a little bit I mean, it's really hard to do first person melee, you know, but that being the focus of the Elder Scrolls series, unless you're playing a stealth archer, which many of us tend to do, I think the combat most certainly needs a revamp. Even going into Elder Scrolls Online, the combat, it's still not quite where you'd like it to be. For example, we definitely need some newer, more weightier sword swings and animations for all of the melee weapons. It feels a little bit weird and wonky when your sword travels through their entire body without them reacting too much and just it doesn't cut them in half, you know what I'm saying? So maybe some realistic stops or slashes across their body, maybe some reactions out of the enemies that better show that they just got hit from a certain angle in a certain way. I'd also like to see an advanced parry block system. We've had something very oversimple, and I think they tried to switch it up in Elder Scrolls Online, but you know, it's an MMO and it's highly visual what they show, so the parry timing is just way too loose and just unrealistic due to it being an MMO, so I'd like to see that adjusted and feel more realistic in an actual Elder Scrolls 6 title. So, item number 2 is a little bit complicated. I would be fine with, I don't know, 2 versions of this. So, here's the first version, is they rework the skill system so that you can just play however you want, and then put the perk points in whatever you want, whenever you want, instead of having to use one-handed to level up one-handed and then put perk points into that. I understand why they did it the way they do, but then you also get weird, awkward things where just speech doesn't really feel used in Skyrim, at least not for me, and so it just felt like it wasn't something you could really level up in a way that you'd really like to. The second version of this is really just more keep it similar to the way it is, but just give us more opportunities to level up speech. Give us more bonuses and more things we can do with speech, instead of just letting us struggle to find ways to use speech. Alright, item number 3 for on my wish list. This one's a little bit complicated. It's basically we need a revamp or a rework on the hotbar. So in Elder Scrolls Online, in the gameplay that you can see, for the little spells, you know, you have square, triangle, circle, whatever, and that lets you equip all sorts of spells. But in Skyrim, spells are more like a singular type of spell that you can put in one hand and then have a different spell in another hand, or have a sword in the other hand. So I would like a D-pad styled hotbar where left on D-pad equips the item in your left hand, right on D-pad equips the item in your right hand, up is for potions, and down is for two-handed weapons and maybe powers like shouts. If you don't know why this is important, basically in Skyrim, you don't have the same kind of system that you have in Elder Scrolls Online in the gameplay you're seeing now. What you have is one hand is a sword, the other hand could be a spell, or you could be dual wielding swords, or you could be two-handing a great sword, right? And the problem you would come into is in the middle of combat, you want to switch weapons, there's no hot swap, there's no D-pad change like there is in Fallout. Instead, what there is you have to take a break, pause in the middle of the combat encounter, and switch to whatever potion you want to use, whatever spell you want to use, and it would just break the immersion. Item number 4. I would like to see more races, or at least sub-races, in Elderscrolls 6, right? So, the Khajiit, there's actually multiple different sub-races. Some of them are more cat-like, and some of them are more human-like. So you might have maybe a more furry human as opposed to just this anthropomorphic cat. Or, instead of the variant of Khajiit you see, there's like a lion variant instead of, I don't know, like this house cat looking Khajiit. Also, it'd be pretty nice if we got Daedra as a playable race, and maybe even got some sub-races on the different aspects of Daedra. Daedra, if you don't know, it's basically the Elder Scrolls version of a demon. Item number 5. It's pretty similar to number 4, but in the more supernatural sense, right? So I would like the return of werewolves and vampires, but maybe they could use a bit of a revamp. At least the werewolves. Vampires have a transformation, and they also have bonuses that they get just in their base human-ish form. Werewolves don't get the same benefits. You only get your benefits in your werewolf transformation, and I think, as a vampire player, I might be more inclined to play a werewolf character if maybe werewolves also got a benefit in their base form. Number 6, the return of mods. So, mods has been a staple of Skyrim, definitely, and all of the Bethesda games since, especially starting with Skyrim. Maybe some of the other earlier titles, but I definitely, most of all, remember Skyrim being the most modded, most beloved, most long-lasting of them all. Now, I want to clarify, I'm talking about free mods, and the reason I'm specifying here is because I tried Starfield at its launch before the mods were available, you know, using Game Pass, but then Game Pass ran out and I haven't picked it back up since. And so, from what I've heard, every time I look on YouTube to see Starfield mods, specifically from the Creation Club, whatever thing, system that they have going on that consoles can use, it seems, now I'm not entirely sure, but it seems like there's only paid mods available. I could be wrong, but every time I look for a video that's Starfield mods and it's not from the Nexus website, it seems like the video is saying, are these mods worth it? As in, like, are they worth the price? Like, should you pay for these mods? To which the answer tends to be no. So it basically seems like Bethesda's just allowed their Creation Club to turn into just a pure money cash grab, where they seem to allow low quality mods to pass through just to gain a cheap profit. Meanwhile, it seems the quality of mods are worse than when they allowed free mods. Again, if I'm correct in assuming that there are no free mods in the Creation Club. Anyways, this has been my wish list. Thank you all for watching. Like, subscribe. Tell me what you think, if you agree, if you disagree. Let me know what you want to see. Again, thank you all, and see you next time.